puts it up off the rim, and the Lakers are the 2000 NBA champions.
It was one of the greatest and most bombastic partnerships in NBA history.
Bryant to Shaq!
The type of star-powered duo that could rival the likes of Magic and Kareem or Jordan and Pippen.
Back to back. Told you was gonna do it.
They were dominant beyond measure, yet still left something to be desired, including more championships on the table. The only things bigger than their successes together were their egos and the divide between them. This is the story behind Shaq and Kobe. By the summer of 1996, the shine of the once mighty Showtime Lakers had faded. The team had just come off a 53-win season in 95-96, but they also lost in the first round of the playoffs and hadn't made the Western Conference Finals in 5 years. That may not sound like a drought, but consider that the Lakers had previously come off a run of 9 finals appearances in 12 years. Now they were merely a solid playoff team, with Magic Johnson's much-hyped return to the court only lasting 9 games in that 95-96 campaign. Jerry Buss's franchise needed a jolt of energy. They needed some Lakers-level star power. They needed some Showtime. The first step was the 96 draft, where the Philly-born, Italy-raised son of Joe Jellybean Bryant was looking to become the first guard ever drafted straight out of high school. Kobe Bryant was entering what would go down as one of the greatest draft classes ever, which is part of the reason the future Hall of Famer ended up falling to 13th. Another reason could be that it has always been assumed Bryant and his reps, chiefly agent Arn Tellem, forced their way to LA. The then New Jersey Nets owned the number 8 pick, and head coach John Calipari, yeah, that Coach Cal, wanted Kobe, but was told the Meridian High product would play pro in Italy rather than suit up for the Nets if New Jersey drafted him.
Now, how many times did I have you up into New Jersey?
About 3 times.
At 3 times with your family. You know who I wanted to pick. I'd still be coaching, by the way, in the NBA if I had you. Just so you know
Coach,
that.
stop lying. Coach, stop lying. You knew you wanted Kerry Kittle.
Jerry West's Lakers were equally smitten by Bryant, especially after a pre-draft workout that those in attendance say you had to see to believe. But the Lakers were picking 24th, which was far too late to nab Kobe. So West went to work, flipping future Hall of Fame big man Vlade Divac to Charlotte in exchange for Bryant, who would be selected 13th if he was still on the board. As all this was unfolding, the Orlando Magic were working to secure Shaquille O'Neal's long-term future in the Magic City. Back then, players could hit unrestricted free agency after their rookie-scale contracts if extensions weren't worked out, and the Magic were about to fumble the bag in an epic way. Despite the 24-year-old big man already asserting himself as an undeniable superstar and unstoppable force who had led the Magic to the NBA Finals in only his 3rd season, Shaq's contract demands weren't accepted as easily as he was expecting, with the Magic dilly-dallying and the Orlando Sentinel publishing a poll in which more than 91% of 5,000-plus respondents said Shaq wasn't worth the 7-year, $115 million contract he was seeking. The door was open for a rival team to pounce. Enter Jerry West, the superstar whisperer, who cleared enough cap space to offer Shaq $121 million over 7 years to ply his trade in Hollywood.
In case you haven't figured it out yet, I've signed with the Los Angeles Lakers. And keep in mind the word change. To me, change is for the good.
Just like that, the Lakers were back. The Lakers' 96-97 season arrived with much fanfare, but the results didn't always live up to the hype, and there was immediate friction between the franchise's 2 new stars. Despite his age and inexperience, a rookie Bryant carried himself with a sense of entitlement and didn't exactly jump at the opportunity to make new friends with his coworkers. Shaq only fanned the flames by telling the media he wasn't there to babysit the teenage Kobe and began referring to Bryant as Showboat. On the court, the Lakers won 56 games and finished 4th in the West despite O'Neal missing 31 contests due to injury. Shaq made another All-Star and All-NBA team, Kobe won the 97 dunk contest and made All-Rookie second team, and LA's return to relevance was complete. The playoffs brought the first major road bump, however, As facing elimination against the Jazz in the West semifinals, Shaq fouled out late in the fourth quarter, and Kobe thought it was Kobe time. An 18-year-old Bryant fired 4 air balls down the stretch, as the Lakers fell to Utah in 5 games. While other Lakers like Eddie Jones expressed their dismay at a rookie entrusting himself with such shots, it was Shaq who surprisingly put his arm around Bryant as they left the court, telling his young teammate to use the doubters, the haters, and his failure to fuel him going forward. As was often the case in the story of Shaq and Kobe, however, every time you thought there might have been a breakthrough in the relationship, we were reminded that they might have simply been too different to ever truly coexist. Bryant's soaring popularity did little to quell his larger-than-life attitude, as despite not even being a starter for the Lakers yet, the sophomore was voted an all-star starter in '98. This fueled rumors that Shaq was growing jealous of Bryant over matters like jersey sales. The Lakers won 61 games in the 97-98 season before being swept by the Jazz in the West Finals, but now things were really about to hit the fan. During a now infamous summer pickup game in 1998, tempers flared, as Bryant thought Shaq was calling soft fouls, called the big man's leadership into question, and told O'Neal that the Lakers were now Bryant's team. Shaq was obviously having none of that, threatened to have Kobe traded, and slapped Bryant, before punches were eventually thrown that thankfully never landed, as ex-NBAer Olden Polynice explained.
And then they square up, and I'm like, come on guys, break it up, break it up. As I'm doing that, Kobe, I can't remember what he said or what he did, but Shaquille reeled back and threw it, and I grabbed him, and part of the punch hit me right here, and then the rest followed through on Kobe, and then all of a sudden I'm like,
You're holding Shaq.
I'm holding Shaq.
That's a
and
job.
I'm fighting for life right now.
If you thought that was already enough drama for the dysfunctional Lakers heading into the lockout-shortened 98-99 season, the team fired coach Del Harris after a 6-6 start, signed and released Dennis Rodman after just 23 games, and made a mid-season trade that shipped Eddie Jones to Chicago for a package that included Glenn Rice. At one point during that disastrous campaign, Shaq pointed to Bryant in the locker room and flat out told reporters that's the problem. On the court, the Lakers navigated the drama to the tune of a 31-19 season before once again being swept in the playoffs, this time by the eventual champion Spurs in the second round. Through 3 seasons together, Shaq and Kobe's Lakers had proven to be as talented as any team in the league, yet consistently showed they weren't in the league of perennial postseason contenders like Utah and San Antonio. So who else to turn to but the Zen Master? After taking a year off following his last of 6 championships with the Bulls, Phil Jackson returned to coaching by taking on the highest profile, most pressure-packed basketball job on the planet. Jackson immediately connected with O'Neal, who desperately needed some postseason hardware to prove his worth among the all-time greats. Jackson turned the offense over to O'Neal, with the triangle working around Shaq's low-post dominance. In turn, Shaq vowed to be in better shape and defend more consistently. Giving Shaq the keys to the offense was made easier by the fact Bryant missed the first month of the season with a wrist injury, and returned to a team Jackson had running like a well-oiled machine. In Jackson's first season at the helm, the Lakers won an NBA best 67 games behind Shaq's one and only MVP campaign, which included another scoring title for the big man.
Number 1 in scoring, number 2 in rebounds, number 3 in block shots, 4 assists a game almost, and only 3 people played more minutes as you were leading your team to 67 victories. It's a pleasure to watch you grow. Congratulations, 1999-2000 NBA MVP, Shaquille O'Neal.
But no amount of regular season success was going to be enough for this team. Not in year 4 of the Kobe-Shaq partnership. Not with Phil Jackson now in tow. Ask any Lakers fan or NBA historian when the breakthrough happened for this team, when Shaq and Kobe truly vanquished their playoff demons, and they'll all give you the same answer. Game 7 against the Blazers. After being pushed to the limit in a 5-game series against the 8th-seeded Kings, the Lakers dismantled the Suns in a 5-game second-round series, then built a 3-1 lead over Portland in the West Finals. But the Blazers stormed back to take games 5 and 6, then built a 15-point lead with 10.5 minutes remaining in Game 7 back in LA. What followed was one of the most memorable in-game runs in Lakers history, if not NBA history.
Forget about Shaq. He's open thrown in. If he's not, don't change your game just to go into him. Get the ball going. It'll loosen up.
Brian Shaw hit some big threes with the Portland defense swarming O'Neal. Kobe and Shaq did their thing, The Blazers went ice cold, and before anyone in Staples Center knew it, the Lakers were back in the game. Bryant began to take over, splashing jumpers in Scottie Pippen's face as his Lakers seized control and pulled away as part of a 25-4 run. That run was punctuated by one unforgettable moment, and the most memorable image of the 8-year partnership between Shaq and Kobe.
Timeouts left. The Lakers have two. Bryant to Shaq.
The Pacers provided less of a test in the finals, and with Shaq dominating down low while Kobe closed games out on a bad ankle that actually forced him to miss a game in the series, the Lakers defeated Indiana in 6 games to win the title.
Looking to throw it in against Shaq. Reggie turns and pumps it up off the rim, and the Lakers are the 2000 NBA champions.
If you thought them getting to the mountaintop together was what the relationship needed to finally turn the corner, though, you'd be wrong. Shaq and Kobe now had a Larry O.B. to their names, but they weren't about to win any gold trophies for friendship. Shaq had continued to bemoan Bryant's selfish play even during that 99-2000 championship season, and when the big man showed up out of shape for the 2000-2001 season, it was Kobe's turn to be ruffled while he carried the load early in the year. The Lakers weren't quite as dominant in their first season as defending champs, and never one to play coy, Shaq believed he knew the reason why. When it was clear that everything went through me, the outcome of it was 67-15, playing with enthusiasm, the city jumping up and down, and a parade. And now we're 23-11, O'Neal said midway through the 2000-2001 campaign. You figure it out. I don't know why anybody else would want to change, other than selfish reasons. To get an idea of just how unprecedented the dysfunction of those Lakers teams was, consider that Shaq, 6 months off his first championship and only a few months after signing a 3-year extension, reportedly requested a trade. Lakers general manager Mitch Kupchak, who had previously served as assistant to Jerry West, obviously didn't cave to Shaq's demands. The Lakers reeled off 8 straight wins to end the regular season and entered the playoffs ready to roll. And roll they did, opening the postseason with 11 straight wins and 3 consecutive sweeps en route to the 2001 finals, where they were stunned by Allen Iverson's 76ers in Game 1.
Up he fires 2 ball, got it again! He's way too good! He steps around Lou and drilled it!
4 fairly routine wins later, beginning with a 28-point, 20-rebound, 9-assist, 8-block performance by Shaq in Game 2, the Lakers were repeat champions after the most dominant team playoff run the NBA had ever seen. What Shaq, Kobe, Jackson, and the Lakers had proven over those 2 seasons was that their off-court relationships and even on-court chemistry didn't matter. If the team's 2 stars were on the court when the postseason tipped off, the road to an NBA championship was going through Los Angeles.
Told you we was gonna do it.
The 2001-2002 season was more of the same, as another drama-filled year finished with 58 regular season wins, the West's number 3 seed, and a 15-4 playoff run en route to the franchise's first three-peat since it resided in Minneapolis. The only test came from the top-seeded Kings in the West Finals, in what became an instant classic and one of the most controversial series in sports history. The last 4 games of the 7-game epic all went down to the wire. Robert Horry lived up to his Big Shot Bob nickname by picking the Lakers up off the mat in Game 4.
Kobe Bryant on the move against Christie. In for the right, flips his shot up, no good. O'Neal lays it up, missed it. Ball tipped out to Horry, a straight on 3. Good! The Lakers have won! Robert Horry's greatest hits tour continues.
Oh, no doubt about it. He's got to be getting a Grammy for that one.
Game 6 saw the Lakers gifted 27 fourth-quarter free throw attempts facing elimination, in a game that's been tied to the Tim Donaghy scandal, with a disgraced former ref claiming the NBA wanted the series extended to a 7th game. That 7th and deciding game saw the Lakers prevail in overtime, before sweeping Jason Kidd's Nets in the finals, with Shaq earning his 3rd straight Finals MVP award.
What class? The Los Angeles Lakers have made it 3 straight NBA championships. They wrap it up in the 4-game sweep by beating the Nets 113 to 107.
A subdued celebration would signify the beginning of the downfall, as Shaq and Kobe would never win another title together. The 2002-2003 season tipped off with Shaq recovering from a toe surgery He waited until after the offseason to undergo. "I got hurt on company time, so I'll rehab on company time," O'Neal famously quipped. This, of course, was blasphemy to Bryant. A disciple of his airness and one who felt battle scars and playing through pain were badges of honor. Though Kobe's scoring reached another stratosphere that season, with Bryant becoming a 30 points per game scorer, the Lakers struggled without Shaq. The three-time defending champs were 11-19 through 30 games. And though they eventually righted the ship enough with Shaq back in the fold to crack 50 wins and a top 5 seed, they fell to the Spurs in a 6-game second-round series. With no championship to bridge the gap between Shaq and Kobe anymore, the end was near. The 2003-2004 season was an absolute disaster for reasons bigger than just basketball. Bryant faced rape charges in the summer of 2003, which would lead to a court case that saw the Lakers superstar traveling from a Colorado courtroom by day to NBA arenas by night. The Lakers, meanwhile, signed championship-starred veterans Karl Malone and Gary Payton to create the 21st century's first NBA super team. Shaq was courting his own drama by telling media during training camp that the Lakers' full team was present, despite the obvious absence of Bryant, before later reminding everyone that Malone and Payton joined the Lakers to play with one player, and it wasn't Kobe. There was also a preseason moment in Hawaii where Shaq, who sought another extension, yelled, "Now you're gonna pay me?" at team owner Jerry Buss after a dunk. Kobe responded in an interview with Jim Gray by saying Shaq shouldn't be clamoring for more money while Malone and Payton took discounts to be there, and added that O'Neal needed to stop showing up quote-unquote fat and out of shape. With all that as a backdrop for a championship or bust season, the Lakers unsurprisingly fell short. Shaq was a giant malcontent, Kobe turned inwards and isolated himself more than ever, Jackson was at his wit's end with the star duo he deemed juvenile, and the Lakers endured the most chaotic 56-win season imaginable. Talent alone pushed the team to another finals berth, but a cohesive, starless Pistons team bullied them off the court in a stunning 5-game championship series. The writing was on the wall, especially after Jackson decided to leave the team following that 2004 finals defeat. With reports swirling that Phil wanted no part of coaching Kobe anymore, and Shaq believing the franchise was too focused on pleasing Bryant, the big man once again sought a ticket out of town. Kobe, meanwhile, opted for free agency. In one fell swoop, it had all come undone just as quickly as the partnership had been forged 8 years earlier. Bryant, of course, re-signed with the Lakers, but Shaq was traded to Miami in a blockbuster that paired the Big Diesel with another up-and-coming star guard. In separation, the feud between the pair only grew more bitter and uncomfortably personal, as police reports revealed that when questioned about the rape allegations against him, Bryant told police that he quote-unquote should have done what Shaq does, pay women not to say anything. The feud between the two alphas remained the NBA's juiciest story, with a matchup between the Heat and Lakers revitalizing the league's annual marquee Christmas schedule.
There's a greeting between O'Neal and Odom first, and here comes Kobe out into the picture, and Shaq with a little elbow, but never looked at him, looked right over the top of Kobe's head.
Shaq would claim one more title with Miami in 2006, while Kobe found individual success few other stars have ever flirted with. But his Lakers continued to fall short as a team. When Bryant's Lakers fell to Boston in the 2008 finals, O'Neal ensured the feud was nowhere close to over.
Check it, you know how I be. Last week Kobe couldn't do without me. Okay, Kobe, tell me how my ass tastes.
From a basketball perspective, Bryant ultimately got the last laugh with championships in 2009 and 2010 that left the final count at Kobe 5, Shaq 4.
Just got one more to Shaq. So you can take that to the bank.
Age and perspective softened both men over time, as in addition to sharing co-MVP honors at the 2009 All-Star Game, the retired stars even sat down for a heartwarming one-on-one in 2018.
We were walking out and I gave you that, I said, man, I love you, congratulations, everything, and I was just happy for you, But I couldn't help but say, this night is made a lot sweeter because I know you have 4 and I have 5.
God, I don't want to do this anymore.
When Bryant tragically passed in a helicopter crash in 2020, it was O'Neal who delivered one of the most passionate and emotional speeches at his memorial.
As many of you know, Kobe and I had a very complex relationship throughout the years. But not unlike another leadership duo, John Lennon and Paul McCartney, whose creative rivalry led to some of the greatest music of all time. Kobe and I pushed one another to play some of the greatest basketball of all time, and I am proud that no other team has accomplished what the three-peat Lakers have done since Shaq and the Kobe Lakers did it.
The story of Shaq and Kobe is so much more than a basketball story. It's so much more than the story of 8 years together, 3 championships, 4 finals appearances, and a bitter feud that fueled NBA interest. The story of Shaq and Kobe is also a lesson of appreciating what you've got before it's gone, whether it's a great team, teammate, or friend. There have been great duos since, and there will continue to be legendary NBA partnerships forged in the years to come, perhaps even some that reach the same heights on the court, but there will never be another Shaq and Kobe. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video and want to see more content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button.